So good morning. My name's Mike Brown. Glad you came in to talk about the new Trump accounts. It's brand new, just started on the 4th of July. That was when it officially came out. And so we're going to kind of talk through this. This is really more of a discussion. I mean, I've got slides that we're going to talk through. I'm by no means an expert because this is brand new, just came out. I'm excited for it because I know that I see the potential from a financial standpoint. My nickname is Money Mike. That's what most airmen know me as. So I'm talking about money all day, every day. But I think this is a unique opportunity that's never been available until now. Um, so we're going to jump into this. And again, if you have questions as we go through here, let's talk about those, and we'll press on from there. There is a QR code on this second page here. This just goes out to White House, the whitehouse.gov website, and we're going to go out to that website here in a few minutes. All the information that you'd ever want to know is going to be available out on that website. So the idea behind this, I kind of look at this as a generational wealth building tool is really what it's going to boil down to. I mentioned a while ago, I wish this would have been available. Then my parents actually did something with this. Our retirement account would likely look way different now than what it does if they would have actually done this particular program. So this is part of the 2025 One Big Beautiful Bill. This was included in there and went into effect on the 4th of July. That's when it actually started up. And this is for U.S. citizens under the age of 18. Now, the way it works is anyone under 18 can start this account, but you may have heard of the $1,000 seed money. That one specific, I've got a slide on that. We'll talk about that in just a moment. So there could potentially be two different types of money in this account. There could be some tax deferred. In other words, you may have to pay taxes on this later, but there could also be some that are not going to be taxed. We'll explain that as we go through the slides. Again, the QR code, there's one here. There's also one on the very last slide. This just takes you out to the whitehouse.gov because that's where kind of this whole thing is set up at currently. So let's talk the $1,000 seed money. So anyone born between January the 1st of 2025 and December 31st of 2028. Essentially, that's when President Trump will be leaving the office, and that's why it stops there. So this $1,000 seed money, the idea behind this is it's going to allow the government to kick in that initial $1,000. But there's also several other options, and we'll kind of talk through those as we go through here of other contributions going into this account. But again, anyone born between January the 1st of 2025 through December 31st, 2028, they will get that $1,000 seed money. And what you have to do to start this is complete an IRS form 4547. That's kind of what starts this whole process. And then you're going to actually use the app to upload that form into the account that you're setting up. All right. So within this account, up to $5,000 per year can be contributed into this account for your children. And it can come from a combination of several different places. It can come from friends and family, as well as maybe you work for a company that is offering this type of benefit where, hey, if you work for us, we will contribute up to $2,500 per year into your child's account. I think that's going to be a huge potential benefit that some employers are going to offer as a benefit for coming to work for this company or that company or what have you. So the $1,000 seed money does not go towards the $5,000 annual cap, which is huge. Also, there's some specific contributors that will also be able to put money into this account that will not go towards this $5,000 cap. The cap is for employers as well as family. The employer cannot contribute any more than $2,500 per year into this account. And if you're not working for an employer that does that, you can do up to 5,000 into the account, through, friends and family. But again, combination of 5,000 between you, the family, friends, and the employer, 5,000, max. And this could be per child. So you got 4 kids, then you could have this, set up for each child. It's not a family thing, it's per child thing. Again, up to 2,500 from an employer, they could contribute into each child, again, account. And again, I think that way, as time goes on, I think, in my opinion, this is probably going to be something that companies are going to look at, is offering some kind of benefit as an incentive to go to work for that particular company. I see huge possibilities, for this. And they also it talks about a match here. I could see where companies will provide a match versus just, hey, here's 2,500, but if you put 2,500 in, we're gonna match that 2,500 as well. I see that being a huge incentive. Yes, sir.
Have you seen any employers yet offering this?
Yeah, there's a slide there. When we go out to the website, there are
Okay.
some that are out there.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, so we talked about the $1,000 seed money, but there's also some private donors as well. And it talks about the Dale Foundation. I love the way that this is going to be set up as far as those private pledges are going. In fact, let's just jump out to their website right quick. So whitehouse.gov, and under here we have Trump accounts. I'm going to just scroll to the bottom for now. We're going to be looking at the website several times, but here's some of the large donors that have currently already contributed or pledged money. If you get money from these will not go towards that $5,000. So these are different. But I look at like the Dell Computers, Dell Technology, they're doing up to $250, but theirs is very specific. They're targeting low income zip codes. And I think that is just, the thought process to me is just phenomenal. So everyone did get the $250 from them, but they're targeting specific low income zip codes, which to me, again, is our country, different companies within the country that have built wealth, and now they're going to be sharing that back with other generations. I like the idea of that. I just see the potential for long-term wealth building. And again, these are the companies that have, at this point, have signed up as partners. And I anticipate a lot more being part of this. Now, let me jump back to the slides, and we will come back to the website because there's a lot of stuff I want to talk about the website. Talks about passive savings. So all of this is going to be controlled by an app, and we'll look at the app here in just a minute. That's going to be on the whitehouse.gov website. That's where the app is actually going to be at. And you can add multiple children within the app itself. That's how essentially it's going to be managed, is through an app. But we'll talk more about that in a minute. All right, so where does the money go? So when the account's initially set up, it's going to be set up through the Treasury, and essentially it's going to go to the Bank of New York. That's going to be the holder of these funds. Once you get that set up, the app again is where you're going to kind of control everything. And there will be options within the app for different private pledges that's been made. That's where you'll be able to control or apply for the different pledges that's going to be made or have already been made. And then come 18, that account's essentially going to be turned over to that child because they're an adult at that point. And at that point, it would be up to them to either take that money out, which I know a large portion of 18-year-olds are probably going to do, but there will be some that allow that money to continue to grow. And let's stop here for just a moment, and go back to the website and look at some potential growth. Before I do that, the nice thing about this ain't going to like it's not going to like a bond fund. It's going to actual stock type investments. The S&P 500 would be a prime example. That's where this investment is going to be housed at, not in something that's not going to grow. Is there risk associated with it? Of course, it's an investment. So this is not an educational account. I think some people have kind of got the mind, this would be money for education. You could use it for that, but it's more of a retirement account. So keep that in mind as we kind of talk through the slides here. I want to jump back to the website and go up here and explain this here, because this is pretty significant. So what we're looking at here, we're looking at your child at 18 years old. If they started out with a single one-time $1,000 investment at 1 year old, come 18 that have roughly $6,000 in here. That's with no other contributions. It's $1,000 seed money from the government. If they had a $250 per year contribution into that account, it'd be worth about $19,000 at 18. If they're maxing that out from year 1 to year 18, they're sitting at about $271,000 with that $5,000 contribution going in annually. To me, that's pretty cool. So if they continue this process at age 27, again, that $1,000 seed money is now worth $15,000. A $250 per year investment is now worth $51,000. And someone that's been maxing out every year, $742,000. So that's, to me, that's impressive from a financial counselor standpoint. But again, at this point, we're looking, this is more of a retirement account, age 55. It's crazy, but this is what we teach day in and day out here, is contributing young and allow that money to grow for you. If you never did anything else but got the $1,000 seed money, it's worth $243,000. If grandma and grandpa's been giving you $250 per year to put into this account, it's grown to $878,000. If you've been maxing out from year 1 until age 55, over $3 million.
You can still contribute up to 5,000 a year after 18.
Absolutely, until 59 and a half years old is when you'd be able to access this. Think of it at this point as a regular retirement account. Similar to a 401k. I don't want to say Roth IRA, because all this money, some of this money is still going to be taxed. So that $3,000 we got, we still owe Uncle Sugar taxes on that. It's not completely free, but still, I'm okay if I've earned money over my lifetime. I don't mind paying money back on that if it's free money that's been contributed to me. Just at age 55, most people are still working. They're not like done working at that point. So this money could potentially continue to grow. And this is just simple, this big 13 million. It's a relatively easy process, but we're looking at someone that started at 1 year old and has done this process throughout. And everyone may not be able to do 5,000 per year. So kind of how I look at this is most people could probably do 250 per year. I would have loved to have been age 55 and had this in my account had it been available, and I understood the process and my parents understood that process. So this is really a whole lot about educating. It's kind of the way I look at it right now. But and then for me not to got into it when I was 18 years old, I don't know that I would have done that at 18. I might have seen, oh, I got 6,000 out there. I'm going to go buy me a car and put a down payment, not buy one, but put a down payment on a vehicle. Maybe I'm in school. Maybe I need that for school. I mean, there's a lot of different, what if or could, would, shoulda, woulda, coulda type things.
I was thinking potentially, depending on the adult, 18-year-old, as a parent, possibly delay app access. So they don't have complete control.
Well, at 18, we don't have a
Have to
choice. But the neat thing about this, I'm probably getting ahead of my slides. I'll have to come back a little bit. So the neat thing about these, until 18, the accounts are locked. So mom and dad, grandma, grandpa, brother, sister, they don't have access to the account. There will be a gatekeeper, if you will, someone that needs to be very aware of different types of money. Because again, there's tax implications with this account, once they turn 18. But the account's locked and you can't get into this account. With the exception, if the child becomes disabled, it could be converted over to an able account at that point and access prior to retirement age. But and again, I love this, that the account is locked, just because as a financial counselor, we have had people come in and start looking at credit reports and, how do I have this bill on my credit report? I was in the 5th grade when this happened. Why is that possible? Well, it's because mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, someone used credit in your name because they couldn't get it. And now you got stuff on your credit report, which we can help take care of that here at the MNFRC. But I like the fact that it's going to be locked. I mean, it is a hard lock with very few exceptions, being that able account is really the only one currently that they're looking at. Yes, ma'am.
Something else for this and a 529 account.
No, 529 is completely separate. So that one's specifically for education. And last year, the nice thing about the 529, we're not going to make it 529. But let's say you were contributing to a 529 education plan and your kid is smart and they got all these scholarships and they don't need that money. You're actually able to convert that into a Roth IRA now, following the annual maximum contribution. So that's a neat thing about the 529 plan. But 529 is one vehicle, and this one's a completely different one. All right, let's back up and see what we missed here. So after taxes, so you're going to have likely 2 different types of buckets, if you will. I like to talk about buckets of money. Yes, sir.
I think you missed the last point. Now we'll answer.
Did I? Oh, yeah.
Right there.
Yeah.
We have to lose control of it.
yeah. Once they're 18, they're considered adults. It is their account. Even if you don't want them to have it, they're adults. Now, you cannot ever tell them about this account. Just saying, but if they find out, they can have access to it. Yeah, good point. Thank you. Yeah. All right, so think of the Trump account as an umbrella. Under the umbrella, you got 2 different buckets of money under there. One is going to be after tax and one's going to be pre-tax. Depending on the source of the money, if it's from the family, then taxes have already been paid. So that particular bucket won't have any more taxes associated with it. But anything that is pre-tax, in other words, the $1,000 seed money, you're still going to owe taxes on that. Any that you got from those private organizations or private companies, that's you still owe taxes on that money. It's not completely yours at this point. But again, that's okay. That's free money. That's how I look at that particular bucket. I don't have a problem paying taxes on free money. So again, that's the 2 different buckets. And it's critical that that whoever this gatekeeper is understands the 2 different distinctions when it comes to that different type of money, as they're turning this over to that young adult. And they call it, I say gatekeepers, I read that somewhere, but again, you got to know how much is in each one of the different types of buckets whenever that person begins to utilize that money. So here we're looking at the way this is going to be invested. It's going to have to be in a mandatory, I like that, mandatory into an index fund. So when I hear that, I'm thinking S&P 500, which that first one that it's talking about here, 90% at least into the U.S. equities. That is phenomenal. That has a 100-year track record. I believe March the 7th of this year marked a 100-year track record for the S&P 500. For me personally, that's my personal favorite investment, both in the thrift savings plan as well as my outside the gate investment. within the gate, within TSP, that'd be the C fund. It just has a different name, but it tracks that S&P 500, so. So the big numbers we seen a while ago on the website, it's based on that 10% annual return rate, historic value of that S&P. Again, we have a 100-year history of it, this calendar year. All right, so again, you can't access this account. It is locked, and I think we've already hit that pretty good. It could become an able account if that child happened to become disabled. All right, so we're going to jump back to the website here for just a moment. So at the very top, and again, this is right off the whitehouse.gov website. Clicked on Trump account. You can download the app. I downloaded it the other day, but unfortunately, I don't have any kids that are eligible for it, so I couldn't get past download the app. So I didn't have that option. The neat thing about the app, I'll scroll down to the bottom. We'll come back. The app was created by Robinhood. Again, very common investment tool that a lot of young people use. I think it's kind of neat that they had input into the creation of the app. And then the Bank of New York is going to be the actual holder along with the Treasury. There will be a dual accountability. That's why they have the U.S. Treasury as well as the Bank of New York that will actually house the money. But I thought it was kind of neat that they got Robinhood involved personally from a financial standpoint. I don't use Robinhood, but I know a lot of people do, a lot of young people, but they involved an investment company to help develop the actual app. So to me, I thought that made a lot of sense.
Mike,
Yes.
on that list of companies that you say will contribute, I know Dell has a specific,
Yeah.
what they contribute.
Yeah, they're contributing to a specific target group.
Right, but the rest of them, you have to click on them and ask for the money, or they automatically put it in? How does that
Within
work?
the app, everything you have to ask for.
Okay.
Yeah, nothing is automatic. Even the city money, you gotta complete that IRS form 4547. And here's what it looks like. It's
We did.
oh, it's up here. Here's what the form looks like. It's a very straightforward, it's a one-page form that you're gonna fill out. And again, this would be uploaded into the Trump account app. That's where this would go, which is essentially gonna start the account. Yes, sir.
Interesting form number.
It is.
It is, isn't it? Did not connect the dot on that. That is funny. That is
So
funny.
she's getting a phone call from the fraud department because she didn't have $1,000 deposit. They just called her.
Seriously?
Yeah,
Oh, seriously? Oh, I thought you was talking about this. Oh,
no, she's trying to make his allotment.
oh,
The fraud department's calling.
oh, wow. Interesting.
Sure, no doubt.
So, once again, once the child turns 18, is their account. And I love the Roth, conversion option that's gonna be available. So ideally, as soon as this child gets control of this account, they should be converting money that's traditional over to the Roth. Because at 18 years old, they're gonna be at the lowest pay grade they're ever, or their, pay status their whole life. A lot of them are still gonna be in college with very minimal income, which means they're gonna be able to transfer this over at a much lower rate. Even for our new service members that are just coming in, TSP has a conversion option. And whenever I'm teaching them, I'm telling them every time they get like $500, that's the minimum amount that you can convert from traditional to Roth. They should be doing that every time they get at least $500 in there. The catch with these conversions, whether it's a TSP conversion or in this case, a Roth IRA conversion, is I gotta pay taxes as soon as I transfer the money over. And the money cannot come over what I'm converting. That is out of my pocket because that is considered a taxable earnings for that particular year. So you're gonna pay roughly 20% upfront So you got $500, you're trying to convert it over, you're looking at $100 out of pocket. But again, keeping in mind that an 18-year-old potentially in the Air Force or potentially in school still, and they have a part-time job, low tax bracket, perfect time to convert this money over. And at 18, they can convert all of the traditional that's in there, that could all be converted. And from 18 on, that would be growing completely tax-free at that point. So huge advantage that I see with this.
So I think the other page, it said there was 271,000 if you
Oh,
put in 5,000 a year up to 18, correct?
yeah, here,
Yeah. So whenever they turned 18, they rolled it over to a Roth IRA.
Yeah.
They'd owe 20% of 71.
that is correct.
Okay.
But you don't have to do it all at one time, and I would,
Yeah.
I'd be doing like
I don't
$500
think anybody could.
chunks. Yeah. But if you could imagine though, over the next 3 to 5 years, when they're maybe still in school or just graduating and not, at a top of the market or work, not at the top of the working market at that point, they'd still potentially be at a relatively low tax bracket.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So to clarify his question, the 271 that's in there,
Mhm.
The money, let's say the money was the 5,000 a year, that's after tax money. The earnings are tax free, right?
Yeah, so
There's no traditional in there. unless-
there's two different buckets that we're looking at here.
So
so-
only the bucket that was traditional, that was, the contributions came from those companies would be taxed
Yes.
in that conversion piece.
So if we're just looking at the $1,000 seed money, you'd have 6,000 that could be converted. But you're right, if you're receiving other contributions, but still there's two different buckets we're looking at here. One would be traditional, one would be Roth. And there are some states that are also doing this. Texas, you can get $1,000. I want to say it's Indiana is doing like $250. So again, I think this is it's a new program for us, but I think there's going to be a lot of other companies and other entities that are going to be feeding into this opportunity here. Russ and I work with Russ, and he does money just like me. When we first started talking about this, we could see this like replacing Social Security at some point. It's never been mentioned, but this kind of process, rather than being taxed, if they were to take that money and put it into some kind of vehicle like this, if you will, they could far exceed anything Social Security could potentially do. But those are opinions, no fact to that or anything.
Yes, opinions on.
Opinions only. Again, this kind of looks at a screenshot of some of the app. And unfortunately, I wish I could have had it online, but I got like nowhere once I downloaded it because all my kids are grown and none of them were eligible. So has anyone downloaded that? Did y'all download it?
You can get your guitar kit, just add it, we might rent it. How do I do that? Yes, sir, it was pretty easy to download,
Was it? Okay,
but I don't see all the other places that will contribute on it.
Yeah.
It's not, yeah.
And-
How you do that.
and I don't know how to do that. I'm suspecting that it is so new that they are still in the process of developing that.
That's why I asked you to click on the company to get them.
Yeah, but I didn't, what little,
I mean, you can look at the app.
well, maybe after the class, I would like just to get an idea because again, I couldn't get past the first page on it.
Is that the first amount of money that was contributed to the,
I'm sorry.
was yours the first amount of money?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay,
My suspicions is probably like TSP. So the money gets there, they've got to build everything, invest the money, and then once that becomes live, then I would assume, I bet it would happen, you can see
yeah,
the other folks to start putting money in there.
Right, that's what I was asking, you have to ask those companies where they are.
You probably do.
yeah.
It's like Texas, it was down.
To me, anytime something's free, normally they're wanting something from us. like the $1,000 seed money, you gotta do that IRS, 4547 form. I
There's
would
probably
suspect there'll be
forms to track
something,
that,
yeah,
because they're gonna want their tax money on everything after that, so Texas gives you 1,000, all that, and the earnings will be taxed. They're gonna track that money, companies that give it, that money's gonna be taxed. But to us or to whoever the account holder is.
Yeah.
I think you can only do 1,000 per month. No,
I don't know about that.
I don't know, it's says the yearly limit, but that's,
Yeah, it says you're looking at 5,000.
Yeah.
I think.
Hmm.
If I want to do it the first month, so it will draw
Yeah.
interest
They'll grow more,
every year.
sure.
I
Yeah.
just go back and read that, but you can look at it.
My thought is, as it continues to evolve, is I would suspect that those somehow they're gonna figure out by looking at the account, if your child's gonna be, eligible from these different companies. I mean, I know Dell specifically is targeting specific zip codes, but I would venture to say that they're gonna know based on based on that IRS form, the location. And I would think it would be easy anyway, if they would open these up. Hey, here's the ones that you qualify for. Click here, and then you'll have to fill out their form. Because kind of like Russ said, they're gonna want to keep track of all this. Because first off, they're getting a tax break. And then we still owe money on that in the end.
What's crazy is we didn't have to upload 45, 47 in the end to get the money. My son, really, he did his taxes, he just said enroll him in it,
Wow.
and we didn't have to download the form.
That's awesome.
So, I don't,
I had someone yesterday who they actually did it.
they upload the form?
They told me that they just had a baby born this year, and she said, yeah, they filled the form out, sent it in. They got the $1,000 seed money. Like,
That's
So-
what we did it, we did his taxes. and everything.
because
So we
there
didn't have to upload it.
there was a question on there, do you wanna, get this account? And we clicked yes, but afterwards I got an email saying, here's how you, do the app and set it up. And July 4th, I kept reading, and July 4th, that money was put in there.
That's awesome.
Do you think that
Was
they
it part of TurboTax or something like that?
filed? it with
H&R Block actually.
Yeah, I wondered if it was,
Yeah,
if it
but
was added to it automatically, you just don't see the loan.
Yeah.
They just submitted it to them.
that or, next year when you file taxes, it's gonna say, hey, where's that format?
Could be.
But that's cool that it hit on the 4th. So it hit on the 4th.
It hit on the 4th
That
of
is
this month.
That's cool. We hear all these government type things and then they don't always happen. Anticipate.
Awesome.
But and I anticipate seeing a lot more companies over as time goes on. I don't know, it makes, to me, this would be an effective way to transfer. Because you hear the political term transferring wealth from the rich or whatever. To me, this would be a prime way of doing that. But it also puts some of the onus back on the families as well as the children that, hey, this is available to you, but there's something that you have to do in order to get that. Not just, hey, here you go, everybody gets it. I'm not in favor of that. But anyway. There's also a Q&A in here as well. One of the key things, and I don't feel like I addressed it is enough. Let me go back to the slides. See. Okay, well, so it's here on this last slide, but the gatekeeper is going to be critical in this whole process. Not so much for them, but making sure that that child understands that, yeah, you've got money out there, but you can't just grab it and spend it because there's huge tax implications. So I think that's gonna be really, really key. And it talks about here, poor tracking can cause some major financial issues down the road. Especially if the child's at 18, and let's just, in my mind, I'm thinking here, we're gonna get that tax credit for this 18-year-old that last year as they're moving out, and then they go out and take all the money out of their Trump account. And now that's a tax liability for not only that individual, but also the family. So I think there's just some education that's gonna have to go along with this as well. I think the website, we've kind of covered everything. Any questions on anything that we've talked about so far? So I'm excited about it from a financial standpoint because I just see the potential of starting young and this money allowing to grow for our families over time. Yes,
I
ma'am.
believe, and I think you might have touched on it in the beginning, but the non-penalized actions where they could have access to the money at 18 also includes home buying, I believe.
Yeah, so there are
For education.
some different options,
'Cause that
and
could
home
bring-
buying is one of them.
Bringing like younger generations being able to be homeowners
Yep.
sooner.
In the exceptions, it's gonna be education as well as home buying. And I mentioned the ABLE accounts already. So there will be instances where they can access it. But I think that the details are still being worked out on that. But I certainly could see a first-time home buyer where you don't get hit with that government penalty. Same thing with school, but I think there's still more that's got to be worked out. It's such a new program. But it is neat to see that it is up and running and actually went into effect on the 4th on our nation's birthday. I thought that was kind of neat. A lot of thought has been put into it, and I love that they brought outside entities, not just government entities, to help design this. That gives me some hope that it's not just another government program. So. All right, that's all that I have. If you signed in and you put in your email address, I will send the slides out to you. I had put these together a couple weeks ago, but I'll send those out if you included your email address. We're not the experts here. We're just trying to figure this out. And from a financial standpoint, I just see huge potentials for this. And anytime I can talk to people about money, I'm always more than willing to do that. So appreciate y'all's time today. Hope y'all have a great day.
So am I the only one that's lost on the tax stuff? Am I the only idiot that's lost on the tax stuff?
What do you mean the tax stuff?
So go back to the slide again, and you kind of touched on it. I'm not a money guy. If I get it, I spend it.
Here,
So the one with the breakdown, 271
Oh.
to 6,000,
Yeah.
all that.
that's the website. Yeah, right here.
Okay, so 6,000 of that is taxable.
In this example, if this person never contributed anything, the $1,000 seed money at age 18 would be worth 6,000, and that would be taxable.
Right, but let's say that my wife not contributes 5,000.
5,000, okay?
So he's got 271,000.
So at this particular point, if you're the only ones that contributed that, 6,000 would be taxable. The rest of that would be non-taxable.
Okay, that was my question. So
Yeah.
only 6,000 is gonna be taxable out of that
Well-
271.
Just in this example,
Yeah.
yeah.
In that example.
Yeah, so $1,000 seed money along with an additional 5,000 I'm sorry, no, because you can only contribute, 5,000, go ahead, Russ,
Yeah,
before
I
I get
think
myself in trouble.
clarity is this. So in the examples that are given up there, this first one is the $6,000 represents just the $1,000 seed money growing over 18 years. It's all taxable because the government gave it to you right now. The 271, whatever interest or whatever growth has happened with that $1,000 seed money over that whole time period is all taxable.
Yep.
That of the $1,000 that the government gave you, whatever it grew, it's taxable, but the money you put in is not.
Even though it's growing.
Right.
Even though it's growing.
Because
You're
you
paying
pay.
taxes on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
right, pay
That's what I'm
taxes.
saying.
Yeah.
So there would be more taxes than just the 6,000.
Right.
Because there's more growth in here.
It still contains the two
Yeah.
buckets,
Yeah,
the government's bucket and any other companies that contributed. They all fall in that one bucket. And your money's in the other bucket, and all the earnings that are tied to that bucket that you put in are all tax free.
yeah, and that's where the challenge is gonna be at. You got two buckets, and understanding what the two buckets mean, because they could have huge tax implications when this money starts coming out. Whether it comes out at 18 or, 60 years old, there's still tax implications because you got two different types of money.
For all my money's up on my mattress. Don't know. No, Chris.
Yes, ma'am.
So I can see the potential growth for if you're starting it young. I have teenagers. I have a 17-year-old. Is it worth me investing the 5,000 for 1 year? Or should I look at other options?
Well, I would start this because we don't know what could come of it later on down the road. So I would be in favor of starting it. So I'm gonna just pull up, we call this the time value of money. And this is where I use this to teach E3s how to become multimillionaires. So here we're looking at an 18-year-old E3. Whether they're in the military or not, the process is still the same. So how old is your youngest that you would be putting or
So
starting
I'm a
this?
16-year-old and a 17.
And a 17? Okay, so we're gonna just use this, and I'll try to do this real quick. 17-year-old, let's just say you do, so you wouldn't get the $1,000 seed money, but let's say you put in 2,500 this calendar year, and it's just sitting in that account. This is just a compounding effect at 10% throughout the child's life. For one time, $2,500 at age 17, it'd grow to 266,000.
Right, and she didn't remove it. or
Provided they
something.
didn't remove it. And then let's just say they do that for, until they're 30 years old. Again, the compounding effect, over 2.2 million at that point. That's just a compounding effect of starting young.
Gotcha.
So anytime someone says, well, I'm only gonna be in 4 years, or, hey, they're 17, is it really that big of a deal? It's a huge deal because of the time factor of that money working. So I'll never say, nah, don't even worry about it. Wait until next year. I'd never say that because it's costing hundreds of thousands of dollars at the end every year that we put off investing. So. All right. Yes, sir.
And just kind of going back on him, with that being said, the 2,500 that you would put in, that would be the Roth one?
Well,
Or
for you, I would say yes, because you're at the lowest tax bracket you're ever going to be your whole military career. For me or Russ or the gentleman in the back, maybe they're at a higher tax bracket and they need the tax break. Then I could do traditional money and I get a tax break right now.
I'm talking about for the child, the tax one.
Yeah, so-
The
Okay,
trust
so-
one. So that would all be the tax-free one.
Yeah, because you're putting in post-tax.
Post-
Yeah,
okay.
you're putting, yes.
If they already took the tax.
Yep, you've already paid taxes on it. Yeah.
Your TSP.
Thank you.
Yes, your TSP mode.
Yep, sorry. You get me started. I'm here to tell you. We start talking about TSP and I just go off the deep end. All right, appreciate your time. I'm gonna go ahead and stop the recording because now they're getting extra stuff and I don't want them to get that extra unless they come in here and I get paid for it. All right, we will stop the recording.
Yes,
Robin said something about lunches provided.
yes, it is.
Yeah, I think if.
Yeah.
It's still there.
Yeah.